Okay, many of you would like to know how to set up assessments or quizzes, so I'm going to show you that process. If you're on the home page of your course, on the left-hand side you have your menu, and then you have quizzes. Even if it is grayed out, you can still click on it. So we're going to click on quizzes because we want to create an assessment. We are going to create a new quiz, so we're going to click on plus quiz. And when it comes up, it gives us the option to fill out the details of that quiz. So for my quiz, I'm just going to type in test quiz. If I want to give some instructions, for example, if I want to tell the students to take their time, or if there are certain questions that I want them to pay close attention to, that's where I would type that in where it says quiz instructions. I'm also going to determine what type it is. If you just want it in there for practice, to study for a test, then they can just take it and it won't assign a grade. Or you can choose graded quiz. I want this for a grade. Assignment group, we're going to keep it as an assignment. It's something that they must complete. You have the option to shuffle the answers. You can give a time limit. You can also allow multiple attempts. If it's a test just to see what they know, you can click on multiple attempts and you can tell it to select the highest, the latest, or the average. And then you can also determine how many attempts they can take the test. Excuse me. If you want your students to see how well they did, you can click that. And you can determine only once after each attempt, or if you want your students to see the correct answers. Some of you may repeat your quizzes and you may not necessarily want them to know what those correct answers are. So you would deselect that option so that they can only see their grade and not necessarily what they got correct. For some students who too much information is too much, you can click on show one question at a time. That way they can focus just on that question and then move to the next. Scroll down where you will assign it. You can assign it to everyone. For those of you who have decided to just do one course with different sections, you would click here and choose which section you would want to assign it to. So since I set up a fourth period, I only want my fourth period to take this quiz because it's just designed for them. So that's why I would select fourth period. If it's a quiz that all of your classes are going to take, then you would just leave it with everyone. If you want a particular due date, you can select a due date, or if you just want it to be available from this date to this date, you can do that option as well. Once I have all of my details in place, I can click Save. And now my details are saved. However, I haven't input my questions yet, and it also brings up a point that the quiz is unpublished. An important thing is that the students will not be able to see anything unless your site is published. I would not recommend publishing until you're absolutely sure you have it looking and set up the way you want. Otherwise, you'd have to go back in, make some changes, and you don't want students starting a quiz and then having to go back and redo that entire process. So I need to go back and edit because I filled out my details, but I haven't necessarily filled out my questions. So next to the tab that says Details, I'm going to click on Questions. This is where you input your questions for your quiz. Excuse me. So I'm going to add new question. You can rename question number 1. You can also determine what type of question you want to include in your quiz. You can choose between multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, fill in multiple blanks, etc. For this particular question, I'm going to choose multiple choice. So I'm going to type. Some of you may already have your quiz on another document, so this is where you would copy and paste that question. And then you would scroll down here for your answers. You can designate which one you want to be the correct answer. You can also eliminate, or you can add another answer if you so choose. Once you are done with that question, it is so important. You must select Update Question. Anytime that you go in and you change a question, if you do not select Update Question, it will revert back to what it was originally. So you just want to make sure that you select Update Question, and then once you've updated it, then you're ready to add a new question. So now I have my question number 2, or excuse me, I still have my first question. because I didn't update the previous one that I was working on. Another thing is you want to designate points. For instance, if you're doing a grade out of 100 and you're doing 10 questions, you want to leave that question for 10 points. Some people just prefer to leave it for 1 point and then let the computer do the math to determine the grade that way. I will let you decide how you want to do that. Once you have completed your quiz, of course, click Save. Once you know that your quiz is exactly how you want it, you can either click Save and Publish, or you can click Save, and it will take you back to the home screen for the quiz. And then it will also give you the option up here to publish. But before you click that Publish button, I would highly suggest that you click on the Preview, so that way you can ensure that everything is exactly the way you want it to be. All of your details are what you want it to be, and then all of your questions are inserted correctly.